Methough, episode 13 is what we're on, and today we're going to be talking about something that irritated me quite a bit ever since I've seen it. And no, I'm not talking about Star Wars Episode 9. I will get to that eventually. I just got to make sure I write down everything that I hated about that movie, so therefore I can make Methough that is very focused and straight to the point on what I liked and didn't like. So we'll get to that eventually. Today we're going to be talking about something else that's irritated me ever since I've seen it, and that is Dragon Ball Super, particularly episodes 20 through 23. Essentially when Frieza first comes back and you see him and it's just the Z fighters outside of Goku and Vegeta are trying to fend them off. And see, here's the thing. I know I'm late to the party. Let me go ahead and say that. I know I'm late to the party, but you gotta understand. In most cases, not even in most cases, 99% of the time, I don't care about a show being dubbed or subbed. I don't. I know for some reason that's still a debate within the anime community. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. But there's a lot of people who live and die by subbed and vice versa. Personally, I don't give a single solitary shit on what is what. It's just whichever one I watch first, whichever one I think the characters' voices match, that's the one I'm watching. So what I'm getting at is that I don't care most of the time. So I know there's gonna be some people out there that's like, oh, you could just watch dub, you could been done by now, and all that bullshit. I don't fucking care. Okay, I was waiting for the dub to finish, and now that it's done, now I'm watching it, or at least I think it's done. It should be by now. But what I'm getting at with this is that, I know I'm late. I know I'm late to the party because I don't like the subbed Dragon Ball. I don't. I can't deal with old lady Goku. That shit's just annoying to me. I don't like it. So I've always just waited for the dub to get finished. So now that the dub is finished, I'm now finally starting to watch the show. And my problem with these episodes is something that I've noticed at Dragon Ball. And that's the thing. Now, I'm mainly going to be speaking about Z because I've never really seen the original Dragon Ball, which I do need to go back and watch. I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. And they have it on Hulu, so I really do need to go back and watch it. But I just haven't had the time to. But eventually, within my life, I do plan on watching the original Dragon Ball. I don't know why I always say original Dragon Ball, just Dragon Ball. But I've mainly watched Z, and that's what I know the most. So that's what I'm going to be speaking about. But essentially what I'm getting at is that I don't like how the show has basically devolved into just like waiting for Goku to get there. And don't get me wrong, and that's what I was trying to say. Like, I know the series have always been like that. Even like when you look once again at Z, like the Saiyan saga, where it was like you had all them fighting and then they were just like, oh, wait for Goku to get here. And then that's when he came and did his thing. Same thing happened with the Frieza saga. Same thing happened with the Cell saga, blah, 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 blah. Like, well, not really with the Cell saga because, you know, what's his face? Gohan ended up doing most of the work, essentially. But you get my point. That's essentially what happened, right? Or that's what mainly what happened. Same thing with the Buu saga and stuff like that. But what I didn't like about this, and yes, I get it. Let me go ahead and get this out the way. I absolutely get it. At this point in time in the series and what's going on with these characters, meaning, okay, so for all you out there who don't know, you know, maybe you haven't seen it, maybe whatever the case may be, the Z fighters that were there when Frieza comes to planet Earth, because Frieza basically gets resurrected again. I know, wow, he got resurrected again, yeah. So he gets resurrected, and he comes to Earth because he's like, of course, I'm gonna kill Goku, blah, 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 blah. Goku is off training with Whis and Vegeta, and essentially they don't know what's going on because they're on a completely different universe or whatever the case may be, like on another planet, like they're super far away, right? So the only people there to fend off Frieza and his force, his Frieza force essentially, or the Frieza force in general, is you got Gohan, Master Roshi, Tien, Krillin, and Piccolo. There we go. Yeah, I think it was those five. Yeah, because it was Tien, Roshi, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo. Yeah, so it was them five. That's all you had, was them five. Don't know where the fuck Chaozu was. Sure as fuck don't know where the fuck Yamcha was. I don't even know. I've never heard anybody mention anything about Yamcha in Dragon Ball Super, so I don't even know the nigga is alive still. But you get my overall point. Those are the only fighters that we have. And of course they try to do their best to fend them off, but of course they just get their ass smacked left and right. And then Goku shows up, and then that's when everything happens. But my problem with it is that what I don't like is that compared to something like Z to now, and especially in that instance, and I know that later on, a lot of people told me like later on, everybody gets their little thing. Like nobody's really saying anything about like TN them getting a just dues or whatever. But I know a lot of people talk about how like Gohan finally, like you see that glimpse of like what he could have been if he kept on training and stuff like that. Like, you sort of get a glimpse of like what he was like when he was Teen Gohan, essentially, like when he was fighting Cell. Once again, I haven't made it to that point, so I don't really know. But as of right now, as I'm in the series, I just didn't like how they handled them, because when I look back at Z, everybody brought some value to the table, no matter how strong or how weak they may have been. Even Yamcha brought something to the table. Everybody had a moment to where they did something and brought some value to the table, and it just wasn't literally a waiting game of like, okay, Goku's here now. All right, everybody, we can leave. It was one of those things like, okay, yeah, we have to wait for Goku, but that doesn't mean that we can't do anything either. Because like the one moment that I always look at is the Frieza saga. Right? The Frieza saga, or even you can even say in the Saiyan saga too, but really the Frieza saga where it was just Krillin and Goku, I always about to say Goku, Krillin and Gohan. And they was trying to get away from Vegeta and Frieza and the Ginyu Force all at the same time. And when they had to throw hands, they did. They wasn't the strongest people, but they knew that they had to get shit done. And once again, I understand that in this moment in time, they haven't been training. Gohan and Krillin has, they have a family now. That's what they focus on. Piccolo's focus on being a granddad because fucking Goku ain't being one. So he's like, fuck, I guess I got to take this job too, nigga. I took your job as being a dad. Now I got to take your job as being a granddad too. So I might as well do that shit. I know what the fuck Tien's been doing. I mean, he's supposedly always training, but, he getting mollywopped and shit by some average ass niggas. And, so I understand all that's happening, but where I'm getting at with that is that when you look at something like the Frieza saga and the odds that they were up against, they still did shit. At least Krillin did a solar flare to get out of there at a point in time. Fucking Gohan being like, what was it, like 8 years old or whatever the case may be, is like swinging on Frieza and like actually hurting him a little bit, where even Frieza was like, damn, this nigga's actually kind of fucking me up right now. Like they did things. It just wasn't like, oh, let's do whatever and then Goku will save us all. It was like, okay, we know that Goku is going to come, but we still have to fend for ourselves. And I know that sounds the same, but trust me, if you watch the Frieza saga and then you watch this, you can clearly see the difference between the two. It's like the energy is not there. And it just hurts, because even though I'm not the biggest fan of Gohan or Krillin or whatever the case may be, to me, at this point in time, they should have a lot more than just what they have. And I'm going to keep on reiterating this. I get it. They have a family. They haven't trained. They haven't done nothing. Especially in Gohan's case. He's like a fucking string bean now. Compared to where he was like in the Buu saga, where he was fucking jacked and he was fighting Majin Buu, compared to now where he's like super fucking skinny. I get it. But I just wish they would have done something with them more than just waiting on Goku to get there, because to me, that's getting very tiring. I like the simple fact that even though they're the supposed weaker characters, that they don't let that deter them from fighting. And once again, I get it. They technically did do that. But I don't know. It's just something about this time. It just hit different. Where it was just like, are you guys really fighting because like you want to, or are you just doing it because you just know that Goku's gonna come and save the day? And I know that sounds weird and it might not make a lot of sense to people, and this whole thing might not make sense to people, but I think a lot of you are gonna understand where I'm coming from with this. It's just I can't articulate it to where it'll just be like it'll click to everybody on what I'm trying to say. But if you go back and watch just the scenes of like Krillin and Gohan on Namek, right? And see how they were fighting and Piccolo showing up and the things that they were doing before Goku got there compared to now, you will see where I'm getting at. Like, you got to think about it. When they were fighting, like when Gohan was fighting Krillin, I mean, not Krillin, I'm fucking up. When Gohan was fighting Frieza, Frieza was way above him. Way above him. And he was fighting him like he didn't give a fuck if he died or not. No holds bars, no hold punches. I'm going in on your ass. Krillin was fighting the same way. Piccolo was fighting the same way. Everybody was fighting like it was like it was their last moments on Earth. But to me, when you get to Super, it doesn't feel that way. To me, in Super during this battle, it just feels like they're literally waiting for Goku to get there. They're just like, well, let's just deal with them and play with them for a little bit. Then Goku will get in and take them all out. That's what it feels like. You don't get that same sense of like anger and defensiveness, I guess you can say. Like, I don't know. It's just something that was off to me. And I just wish they would have given them a time to shine, that the show would have focused on them a little bit more and how far they've come instead of Goku, because we already know where Goku's at. We already know where he's going to be. Why not give the spotlight to them? You see what I'm saying? And I just wasn't vibing with that. I just wasn't. And I don't know. That's why I'm making this video, because I like doing these Methoghs like this, like why I throw stuff out there, and hopefully whoever watches it will leave a comment and say what they think about it, say that I'm wrong, they agree, whatever the case may be. But to me, it's just one of those things like, am I the only one who feels that way? That it's just like they don't even want them to progress anymore. Once again, I heard later on that Gohan does, yada, yada, yada. I'm not there yet. I'm just talking about for right now. It just seems like they didn't want them to progress any. It seems like the show is literally just about wait for Goku to get here. You see what I'm trying to say here? Like they're not bringing any value to the table. They're not bringing anything of any significance to the table like before. When before, it didn't matter if Goku showed up or not. They was going to do what they had to do to get shit done. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what it is. It's like the sense of urgency is like it's there, but it's not fully there because they just know Goku's going to come in at the end of the day and clean everything up. So they're just like, fuck it. Let's just, And then the whole thing with Piccolo dying again, like I didn't understand that. What was the point of that? It's just like, why? What did Piccolo have to die again for? Like, why do you keep on killing on Piccolo? It doesn't make any sense. At this point, deaths don't mean anything because they're going to come back with the Dragon Balls. I mean, literally, Frieza just came back with the fucking Dragon Ball. So what's the point of killing anybody at this point, especially Piccolo out of all people? That's not going to make me get upset and go, oh my God, I can't believe they killed. It's like, nigga, okay. We know he going to come back. See, before that wasn't a thing. That wasn't, well, technically it was, because now that I think about it, I keep on forgetting Goku had to wait for them to get the Dragon Balls. So that was the whole Snake Way thing. I think that, I from what I can recall, after Goku died, that was the whole point of the Snake Way thing, was showing what he was doing until they got the Dragon Balls, and that's when he went to King Kai's planet and all of that shit, from what I understand. It's been a minute since I've seen the Saiyan saga, so you got to bear with me. The only reason why I remember the Frieza saga so much is because I own that shit on DVD. But anyway, you get my point. I just didn't like that. To me, it would have been better. And by the way, that's all I had to say. This is me getting into my what they could have done thing, which I plan on doing like a sort of series of. Is like looking at movies and shows and stuff and seeing what they could have done better or whatever the case may be. I don't know when I'm going to do that because I'm pretty sure nobody's going to watch it and be like, I don't give a fuck what you talking about, nigga. But I might do it anyway just because I think it's a cool thing to do. But anyway, so if you want to leave the video now, this would be the perfect time because now I'm about to get into my what they could have done bag. It's not going to be necessarily fanfic because it's going to stay within the realms of what we end up getting. So it's not like, and then that's when fucking Future Trunks comes in, he slices them up, and then it's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be within the realms of what we got. But anyway, if you want to leave now, that's pretty much all I have to say. I didn't like it, but what do you guys think? Do you think it was cool? Do you think it was, badass? Or are you like me? You're like, I don't fucking see why they keep on doing this to them. Just let me know. What do you think about these little episodes and this little moment about this quote-unquote Resurrection F bullshit? I don't know where it falls at the timeline of that. But now, anyway, let me get into my what they should have done bag. Because I thought about this as I was watching it, and I was like, it would have been so much cooler if they would have done this. So my perspective, or the route that I would have taken it, is that so you basically to give the Z fighters some value. Again, that's essentially the whole point of where I'm getting at, and the whole point of this video is, why don't the Z fighters outside of Goku and Vegeta have any value? They don't bring anything to the table. Outside of them not training, I'm just talking about in general. Now they literally don't have anything. So this is to me what would have made them have some value and would have actually made a more intense story, in my personal opinion, and would have actually been cool and would have made the Z Fighters more than what they've ever been. So this is how I would have approached it. And y'all let me know whether or not you think this is cool, you think this is dope, you think it's whack, whatever the case may be. I'm fine with either one. But the way that I would have done this personally is if when Frieza shows up, or even before Frieza shows up, right? Like he's in his little training stage and he's doing all his things. Jocko comes to Earth and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got an insider in the Frieza Force, and he said that Frieza is gonna be here within a month." And Bulma's like, "What the fuck did you just say?" And he's like, "Yeah, you heard me. Frieza's gonna be here within a month." So then she gathers all the Z Fighters and she's like, "Hey, Frieza's gonna be here within a month. He's been revived. Y'all niggas need to get the training, right?" So they train. You got Piccolo, you got Gohan, Krillin. You can even throw Android 18 in there. I don't give a shit. Just anybody and everybody's training because Goku's gone, right? He's gone training off with Whis and Beerus and all of that shit, right? And I want to also say this. Within my way of structuring this story, Whis and Beerus only comes to Earth once a month, right? They only come once a month because the space is the travel distance or whatever, right? I just would have it like that. It'd be like, yeah, we can only come once a month or whatever. Because I'm trying to create that tension. One of the things I loved about the original Dragon Ball was the amount of tension. And I should have said that earlier, but I couldn't think of the word. I love the tension. That's why I always love the original cuts of Dragon Ball, where they'll be standing there for 5 fucking episodes just looking at each other. Because it created a certain amount of tension that I don't think a show could ever replicate. Ever. And that's what I loved about it. Yes, I know it's a meme at this point. They fight for 2 seconds and they stare at each other for 16 episodes, which was definitely true. But that amount of tension that was built up with it, it made every single movement that happened afterwards absolutely satisfying. And to me, this is like bringing in that tension of DBZ that I love so much. So they only come they only come once a month, right? So you have Gohan and everybody fucking training. You can even throw Yamcha in there. I don't give a fuck. Just anybody and everybody that can fight are training, right? But in this case, let's literally boil it down to just like Yamcha, Tien, Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo. Let's boil it down to those 5, right? Fuck, if you want to throw Master Roshi, let's throw Master Roshi in there too. Fuck it, let's throw him in there. Which I know he kind of gets his moment to shine in the whatever tournament it is that they have later on. And I'm pretty sure that's when a lot of them get their moment to shine, from what I understand. And I've said that like 6 times now, but I'm going to keep on reiterating it so nobody won't try to throw that up and you're like, well, technically, they get their moment to shine through. I know, from what I've heard they do, but I'm talking about right fucking now, okay? I'm talking about this exact moment during this Resurrection F shit. So, you got these 6 fighters, right? They're all training one another. And then the day that Goku and Beerus is supposed to be coming back is the same day that Frieza shows up. But he gets there before them. And everybody's like, okay, we know that, Goku and Vegeta are supposed to be on their way here, but we don't know what time. So we have to fend off Frieza and his army until then. So then that's when you get the whole scene of Gohan and everybody in a squad, the Z Fighters, standing there looking at Frieza and his force. So then Frieza, does his little monologuing. He does all his talk, yada, 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 talking all his shit. And then they going at it, right? You have the Frieza force and all his people coming. Well, not Frieza, because, he always stands in the background. So it sort of plays out exactly like he did in the actual show, where you have Gohan, Piccolo, and all them taking on all his minions, right? All his little soldiers. But in this situation, instead of them struggling with them, because they've trained for a month, they just wiping the floor with them. And fuck, I hit the cord on my microphone again. Hopefully it don't make a cracking noise or some shit that would just destroy your ears. I apologize. But essentially that's what's happening. So they're just destroying them, taking them out left and right, just completely obliterating them like it ain't nothing. They ain't even phasing them. They just blowing them away one by one. Just sort of like how Vegeta did Ginyu when he took over that dude's body. How he just ran up on him and was like, "Ugh!" and just blew him up and just disintegrated him. That's how he's doing his force. That's how they're doing his force, right? So then all of them are taken out. they barely even broke a sweat. And Frieza's like, oh, y'all niggas really have progressed since the last time I seen y'all. Y'all not as trash as before, especially you, Krillin. I didn't think that you would be that good. So then that's when you have that bull nigga and the dude that Ginyu end up taking over standing there, right? You can have Krillin and let's say Roshi take on, you know, the bull dude, and he's like overly strong in this one. Like he's actually a force, right? And like he's actually like fuck. I had what I was trying to go for, but I dropped it. It flew out of my head as soon as I was about to say it. But you get my point. Like he's a destructive force, I guess. That's just how I'll classify it. Like, you know, he's a nigga that can hit heavy, I guess. Like, fuck, I hate when I do that. When I lose something, like I have the word and what I'm trying to say right there, but then it just says, "Nah, I'm good," and just floats away. I hate that shit. But you get my point. He's a force to be reckoned with, right? And let's say that, like I said, Krillin and Roshi takes him on, right? They do the best that they can, but then they get taken out, right? So then let's say that's when Tien hops in, or even Piccolo. Let's say Piccolo hops in. Fuck it. Oh no, because I said Yamcha, because I kind of want Yamcha to be in there. So let's say it's all three of them. Fuck it. It takes all three of them. It takes Roshi, it takes Yamcha, and it takes Piccolo. I mean, not Piccolo, but Krillin, right? They take on the bull dude. They can't quite defeat him. So then that's when Tien steps in, or Piccolo, better yet. Because I'm trying to create like this tier list system to show how each one has progressed in strength. So then you can have somebody like Piccolo hop in. He takes him out. Now the dude that Ginyu took over, that's when him and Piccolo go at it. So Piccolo comes in at the tail end of they fight, mops the dude, the bull dude. He's out. Now you have the dude that Ginyu took over and Piccolo. They hammering it out. Just boom, 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 boom. Just going in, slugging it out. But because he used up some of his energy taking out the bull dude, now he's weak. So now Tien comes in. He finished that up. So now it's just Frieza, Tien, and Gohan, right? So now you got the dude the Ginyu took over's out, the bull dude, most of the Z fighters out except for them. Because to me, Tien has way more potential than fucking Piccolo, but they just haven't given him that potential yet. And then that's when Frieza's like, okay, this is something that I was not expecting, but I'm completely prepared for. So he comes out his little weird baby Yoda baby crib thing, right? Little egg pod thing. And he's fighting Tien in his regular form that he was, you know, that he's always in, right? His little with the antler spike things. And they going at it. And Tien is keeping up with him. This is Tien we're talking about. Tien's keeping up with him. And he's like, I've never fought you before. As a matter of fact, I don't even ever remember seeing you. But you must be pretty fucking strong just to take me on in my base form. So, yes, we're kind of harkening back to what was going on in the original Frieza saga where he just kept on powering up and kept on changing forms. That's what he does. He goes into his second form. Tien is still keeping up with him. He's still keeping up with him. And they're just going at it. And he's like, oh, okay. Goes into his third form. They still going at it. Tien is still throwing hands with him like it ain't nothing. And then that's when he gets into his final form, his iconic form, the super sleek form that we always know and love and we see him as. And that's where the table starts to tilt in Frieza's favor. And at that point, Tien is exhausted because he had to take on the dude that beat Piccolo, and he fought Frieza through all his forms up until his final one, right? And then, of course, Frieza beats him. And now it's just Gohan and Frieza. Frieza's in his final form. Gohan is still in his base form. And they're clashing. They're going at it. Just do. Like, you know how they be doing. Bouncing back and forth and all this shit. And then, you know how Frieza is because he's, you know, remembering all this shit throughout the show. He's like, you know what? I remember you. I remember I fought you when you was a child. And you was pretty strong then. You was kind of beating my ass back then. And you kind of doing the same now. So now it's time for me to show you what really, is going on or whatever. Just building up that tension even more, drawing it out, giving him all his forms and shit, kind of giving you that once again, not essentially a super retread, but sort of that same evolution of power that we got in Z, showing the different forms and stuff, showing the power levels and the strength of these enemies to show you that they're a bit of a destructive force, right? So then that's when he goes 100% for him, just like he did against Goku. And then Gohan's like, oh, so you want to take it there? Cool. Then he goes Super Saiyan 2. So then you kind of get that nostalgia of when Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time against Frieza, because remember, he was in his 100% form then. And like it's like a trip back, like a little nostalgia trip back to that. You see what I'm saying? And like you can even have them standing like they were looking at each other back when Goku and Frieza fought, but in this case it's Gohan and Frieza. You can't tell me that wouldn't have been dope. Like and that's the whole point of this little story segment I'm giving on what they could have done. It's sort of like the potential that was just right there, but for some reason they didn't do it because it's all about, oh, let's wait for Goku to get here. So then you have them fighting, and they're going at it, and Gohan is just keeping up with them, getting some good blows in. They trading blows just like Goku and Goku and Frieza was doing on Namek, and they're just like they're just doing their thing. And then Frieza finally gets angry enough, and he's like, "Fuck it, I've had it. I didn't think he was gonna be able to keep up with me. I didn't think I was gonna have to use his form this quick and this early. I was gonna save it for your father, but I'm ready to end this shit right now." And that's when he goes into his gold form. And at that point, he's in his God form essentially, right? Because that's the whole point of the gold form. It's supposed to be as equal as his Super Saiyan God, right? And then that's when Gohan's like, "Oh fuck, yeah, I can't compete with that." And then he just completely, like, it just takes one move and Gohan's done, right? And that's it. That's all they could have done. That's all they had to do for the Z Fighters, and I would have been satisfied. And then, soon as he's about to kill Gohan, just like he was doing in the show, except, at this point, it's not like he's like a hollow shell and he's like all like, ugh, and all that shit. It's just the simple fact of, before he can kill Gohan, that's when Goku shows up. But that's all I was asking for, is something along the lines of that, where the Z Fighters have some type of value to them. Because once again, I just feel like, to me personally, they don't bring anything to the table anymore. And that's just me. I hope what people say about what happens with them later on is true, because I get tired of Goku being the one guy. And I get it. It's the point. The show revolves around him. It's like complaining about Naruto. But the thing is that at a certain point, it does get annoying. No matter how much you may love that character, at a certain point, you do want to see other people do things. And that's why I will always give Shippuden some credit. Even though it didn't focus on the other characters like Rock Lee and like Shikamaru and stuff like that as much in Shippuden, it still gave them moments to shine. It still gave everybody moments. I mean, everybody outside of Naruto, well, mostly everybody, because they didn't really give like my nigga Shino a moment, unless you watch that one movie where he had his moment to shine. But you get my point. For the most part, they still gave other people time to shine, though. Like, remember when Shikamaru had that fight with Hidan and that one nigga I can't remember that was rolling with Hidan in the Akatsuki, and like how he did all that shit against him, because that's when Asuma died and shit like that. Like, it gave people outside of Naruto time to shine, and it showed that they had value, some type of value, and they brought something to the table. Outside of Sakura, because she never had anything to bring to the table and never will. But you get my point. It showed that, and I just wish that Dragon Ball would do the same. And I'm gonna keep on reiterating this. From what I understand, yes, they do eventually, but I'm not there yet, and I'm talking about right now. And I wish that they just would establish it now instead of later. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I wish they would establish it now than later, because to me, that would have made the story so much better, and it really would have showed how far they've come in the fuck, the word I just had it and I lost it. Fuck, I just had the word. I hate when that shit happens. I can't think of the word now. But basically, it shows the results. Fuck it. I guess I'll just say that. Shows the results from their past battles, and everything that they've been through has actually been beneficial in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know. I didn't mean to make this video that long, but that's the point of these. That's why I make them. That's why I've made this a series. It's just to where I can cut my microphone on and talk about whatever, and whoever watches it, and whoever doesn't. But yeah, that's just me, man. Like, I just wish they would have done something a little bit more with these characters at the beginning. I'm going to keep on reiterating that to show the results and all the benefits from their battles that they've had in the past. And it just sucks that the show, it just feels like everything, I mean, because it's always been about Goku, and that's why I got to stop saying that. But I don't know, man. It's just something in me where I'm just like, fuck, man, can we just get a moment where, like, we don't have that? And once again, I know that everybody supposedly gets their moment later on. Like, I know even Roshi gets one. I know Vegeta gets a really big one. I get that. But to me, at the beginning, it should have been like that. And then especially when you take in the fact of, like, Resurrection F, Battle of Gods, the Broly movie, like, it was always Goku who was like the one that, and I think I'm kind of getting sick of that. Like, I kind of want it to be spread out a little bit more. Like I said, like Shippuden. That's one thing I would give Shippuden credit for. They gave a lot of, like, even Hinata got her time to shine. Like, everybody got their time to shine except for Sakura, because like I said, she will always be trash. Point blank, period. And they didn't give my nigga Shino one, but they even gave Choji one. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Choji already had his moment to shine when they was kids, but, like, they even gave him a bigger one. Because if I remember, it's been so long since I've read or watched Shippuden, but when he went up against the Gedo statue, I don't know if that was just for the game, though. I don't know if that was for the Storm game or not. If that was just for the Storm game, that was a fucking beast-ass moment. But if he actually went against the Gedo statue or whatever the fuck the name of that thing was, then that shit was dope. But they gave him his moment to shine. So, you know, if that actually happened in the book, like I said, it's been so long since I've read the book or even watched the show, I can't remember every single thing. But you get what I'm saying. Everybody had a moment to shine. And I just feel like in this earlier moments of Dragon Ball Super, they should have done that already. I shouldn't have to wait till I'm like fucking 100 episodes in to see Roshi do some cool shit. Just establish how much stronger they've gotten already. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. That's the whole point of this series.